Test, 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 test. Check, 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 check.
Oh ya.
Check, check. Check, check. Okay. Happy Sabbath. Um, Today we're going to continue our topic about breathing, speaking, reading, and singing. So we're going to have a review on the previous topics that we have had before. The first one is uh, about breathing. What is the benefit of having a strong and proper breathing? And we have learned that we need to activate the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the area behind, just behind the rib cage. And then when the diaphragm is activated, it will go down, and then the part under the diaphragm will expand outward. Okay? Now, before we start to the other lessons, we're going to have uh, some exercise regarding the previous topics. But before that, let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, at this very moment, we need the Holy Spirit to give us wisdom and understanding so we can know how to produce good and healthy voice that we can use to glorify your name and to help others also to gain the benefit of the organs that you have endowed to us so that we may glorify your name and we understand the love of God in our lives. Forgive our sin, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, let us stand, and we will start by checking the place of the diaphragm. Okay, so the diaphragm lies behind. Can we have the okay? As you can see that the red one, the red meat there, as we can see, it's the diaphragm. When it's activated, it will go down and it will create more space. Yeah, it will expand the lungs. Last topic we have discussed that we only use 25% of the lungs. By going down with the diaphragm and the help of the abdominal muscle, we can go up to 100% of our lungs capacity. So the key is the lower the low the lower the diaphragm, the bigger the expansion. That's the logic. The lower the diaphragm, the more space on the lungs, and the bigger the expansion. So we should always seek for bigger expansions, outward expansion. Okay. Okay, let's start. Press your diaphragm. When I say inhale, you expand it. The Remember, the bigger the better, because the bigger means the lower diaphragm you have. Okay? Okay, let's start. Inhale, expand, hold. Exhale with hot air. Okay, exhale. Okay, good. Okay, even though it's short, that's okay. With hot air. With hot air, remember last week we have learned that when you want to make a fog in the glass or mirror, you have to use the hot air. When you use the hot air, actually the muscles on the neck is loosened. If you tighten it, the air will be not that hot. Yeah, it's still hot, but not that hot. Okay, again, inhale, expand, hold, exhale. Okay, again, now we were going to do three steps of inhaling and one exhale. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, hold. Okay? So when you run and you experience out of breath, okay? Do you remember that the more you do, it actually don't help you? Yeah, it doesn't really help you. You feel like dizziness, right? That's because actually when you do this, the capacity of the air sucking into your body, it's not equal with the one that you throw out. And when you feel dizziness, it means that the body needs more oxygen and capture. Remember last week, one of important thing that we learned is the lesser you take inhale and exhaling in 1 minute, the better. The target is lower than 10. And the only way to have lesser intake and outtake of the air is by breathe deeper. If you breathe shallow, it will have more frequent of inhale and exhaling. So, okay, now let's help, by the help of our friends, help to check whether the diaphragm is expanding enough, that big. Okay, women, now we have women, thank God. Last week we didn't have. Okay, you can help us. You've been with us for weeks. Okay. San, right? Yeah, San has been with us for weeks. Okay. This gentleman over here, we need some help to check. Okay. Okay. Willie and friends. Okay. Okay, let's do it, okay? Yeah, try to check the, okay. Just put a little bit push, a little bit push, a little bit push. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Breathe, breathe. Okay, move. Check the other one. I will check. Ombogwan. Sorry. More on. Yeah, yes. Good. Focus on this area. Make the connection between the diaphragm and opening. Very good. It's good. Nah, don't forget. It should be equal strength every time. Yes. It's good. You feel dizzy? Okay. Actually, it's not okay, but if that's the way you can focus on, for now it's okay. That's okay. In the beginning. Very good. Very good. The expansion is quite good. It's it's very good. Let me check. Okay. Good. Very good. This is good. The push is the same as your so yes. You have to find connection between your breath and the diaphragm. More. Focus on this area. Good. Very good. Very good. The more the expansion, the better. It means the lung capacity is even bigger. Okay? San, can you help checking? Okay. Okay. Please be seated. It's good. Thank you. Now we're going to continue our topics. Again, remember that the fundamental of singing, speaking, and reading out loud is not reading in your mind, yeah? Reading out loud is breathing technique and voice production. And by engaging in diaphragm, actually, we have done 50%, even more than 50% than this fundamental. If some people will ask, is it 50-50? Which one is more important? I would say breathing technique. Okay, the more sometimes people that have mastered the breathing technique, somehow when you are just introduced with the proper place of voice, you can practice it by your own. For me, I could say this is 70%, this is only 30%. Okay, so and the breathing technique is even take more time because we work on muscle. When we work on muscle, we cannot do it overnight. Muscle is something, if you are asked now, at this moment, to lift a 100 kilos, you cannot do it now. But if you are given time for 1 year, maybe you can practice your muscle one day, 1 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilos, 4 kilos, and up to 100. But remember, when you stop for 2 months, let's say, or 1 month, the muscle will loosen. So you have to practice it continuously. That's the problem. With voice production, it's more about the mindset, where you put. Okay. The proper training of the voice is important feature in education and should not be neglected. It is very important. Young people must be taught how to breathe properly, how to read properly, so that there will be no muscle tension in lungs and throat. Okay. One of the article mentioned about famous Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher took voice lessons when she became Prime Minister of the UK. Some people thought she was consciously speaking to speak with a lower voice. And there is some fascinating research suggesting that people with deeper voice have more success in business and politics. Actually, when they say deeper, it means more open. Actually, it's more open, okay? However, I hear a difference in Thatcher's breathing, which makes her voice richer, more resonant, and as a result, lower. So some people say lower, actually it's more resonant, more richer, or more open. So we can see that from this article that her breathing technique is helping her to achieve that voice. So she has gone through, when they said took voice lesson, actually the very first lesson is breathing. Because breathing will help you to achieve the sound, the healthy and the richer, resonant, and lower sound. When you are asked this morning, we have a song, or last week, or in every worship, I've been asked many people, but when you are asked, why didn't you sing loudly in our worship, in the singing? Some people might say, actually, I don't have a good voice, right? Do you feel the same? The reason why you don't sing out loud and vigorously, because you don't feel that your voice is good enough to be heard by other people. The second one, maybe they will say, you know, I don't like singing. But when you ask people who don't like singing, when you try to look more, actually the reason why they don't like singing, because they don't feel that their voice is good. So it's same actually, just different way of expressing. I don't like singing. Actually, when you ask even deeper, because he or she doesn't feel that she has a very good voice. Other than that, maybe because of personal reason, trauma, or things like that. But when, like what I said before, there are two types of singer. There is what we call as a born singer and trained singer. Born singer is someone in their mind, in their mindset, have the data maybe coming from the parents through chromosome, telling them how to locate this, how to use the diaphragm. Or I've been asked last week, if I'm not mistaken, or last 2 weeks, maybe some children develop a non-diaphragmatic breathing when they grow. That the reason is because when we start to demand, when we start to be cranky, when the child, because no children is born without diaphragmatic breathing. That's the only breathing technique that they know inherently from the parents. Even though inside the womb they don't breathe, I mean using the diaphragm, but when they come out, no one teach them. But God has endowed the knowledge to them. But why, when I'm adult, I have to relearn how to breathe with diaphragm? Because when we are in our childhood, there are some children, we know because Satan is also in our minds, we have the tendency to do sin. And one sin is to get attention. Child crying like this, oe, 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 oe. The parents might, oh, it's good, son, your voice is nice, just cry. Because if they do it properly, they can cry for hours without destroying their voice. And they know that if they do that, the parents will not pay attention to what they want. So they start to stop using the diaphragm, start using the throat. Oh, that's the starting point of our stop using our diaphragm. Some children, they don't do that. That's the reason why they still have a very good voice up to date. Some are getting inherited by the parents through the data from the chromosomes, how to use this. So we need to go back to what to what God has, the purpose of God creating the organs, the vocal organ. So when we say that, oh God, my heart is fixed, it means we understand. We are willing to sing because we enjoy singing. We are willing to sing because we know that God has provided something important in our voice to be heard by other people. We are fixed. I will sing and give praise. So you have to have your heart fixed first. And by having your heart fixed, it means you know how to produce the voice. You feel confidence in giving out your voice to the world to hear, even with my glory. There is something peculiarly sacred in the human voice. Its harmony and its subdued and heaven-inspired pathos exceeds every musical instrument. There's no other musical instruments. The only musical instruments created by the hand of God directly is our voice. The piano, yeah, maybe God endowed the creator with wisdom, but actually the only instrument, I can say the most superior instrument is our voice. Nothing can compare with our voice. Jesus, we don't really read this in the Bible, but there is some proof that when Jesus was a little child, when Christ was a child, like these children here, he was tempted to sin, but he did not yield in praise. So singing is something that helped him to get away from the temptation. And before his companions were aware of it, they would be singing with him. Sometimes when we were childhood, our friends come and ask us to do things and tempt us to do sin and things like that. When Jesus would do is lift his voice in praise by singing. The early morning often found in him in some secluded place, meditating, searching for the scriptures, or in prayer. With the voice of singing, he welcomed the morning light. So Jesus likes to sing from the childhood. Often he expressed the gladness of his heart by singing in other time, singing psalms and heavenly songs. Often the dwellers of Nazareth heard his voice raised in praise and thanksgiving to God. So last week we have learned when Jesus preached, whenever he preached, he take distance from the crowd. And the crowd is not in the conditioned room where good acoustic happen. Actually, sometimes it's very loud and noisy, like in this lake of Galilee, or maybe in the crowd or something like that. So Jesus must have mastered the technique. And Jesus have mastered also the technique with singing, because if he's not a good singer, his voice will not be heard. Can you imagine when if you stay in the home and other people can hear you, or even in the open air and other can hear you, it must be quite loud singing, okay? And the nearer the people of God can approach to correct harmonious singing, the more he glorified. The church benefited, the unbelievers favorably affected. So when I'm saying singing, it means singing, talking, and reading out loud, okay? It's just the same actually, okay? The ability to sing is a talent of influence. It's not something, it's a talent of influence, which God desires all to cultivate and use to his name's glory. So we need to cultivate. Sometimes we don't really care about breathing and talking, using our voice, because we've been doing it the whole time, but actually there is a room for improvement. Speaking from the throat, letting the words come out from the upper extremity of the vocal organs. I will explain this. Why we shouldn't breathe from the upper part of the lungs. There's also a reason why we shouldn't talk with the upper extremity of the vocal organs. Okay? All the time fretting and irritating them is not the best way to preserve health or to increase the efficiency of those organs. We have learned last week or last 2 weeks that there are connection between using the vocal organs wrongly with your life, with the mortality. So it's very important. How do you know when your voice is not healthy? According to National Institute of Deafness and Other Communication Disorder. Has your voice become hoarse or raspy after you talk for some time? Have you lost your ability to hit some high notes when singing? Does your voice suddenly sound deeper with no reason? Not deeper in the good way, but deeper like deeper. Have you ever experienced that? You have, okay? There's like a screechy or raspy, hoarse sound. Does your throat often feel raw, achy, and strained? Has it become an effort to talk? Do you find yourself repeatedly clearing your throat? Water after a couple of glass of water, you still feel like and every time you talk you have in every sentence. It might be the indicator of you have problem with your voice. You have to be careful. And sometimes we think that when we are in the bad condition, why don't we just whisper? It seems safe. But actually, whispering can be, how to read this? Hazardous to your voice. Okay, the New York Times by Nahat O'Connor. Avoid whispering. It will damage your pipes. When you whisper, you don't actually engage with your diaphragm because it's so soft that you don't have to use lung capacity. But actually, it's not because of the lung capacity only, but when you project your voice, it doesn't go anywhere but the throat. Okay? Dr. Adam Rubin, co-author, said that in 69 of the subjects whispering put more strain on the vocal cords. They were squeezing in their vocal cords together more tightly to produce the whisper, which is more traumatic. Be careful. Some people in the industry, singing, the music industry, actually utilize whispering in their singing technique, which is not approved in classical singing. To give the sensations, to deliver sensual, erotic feelings through whispering, but it's not good actually with your voice, to your voice. For some people, whispering can be more traumatic to the larynx than normal speech. So don't think that it's safe to whisper, but you have to do the proper sound with the proper technique. How to do it? Let's see from the scientific side that actually proper breath support to propel the voice, because the voice doesn't come from the voice box. This is the voice box, the air coming from the lungs. So when you don't have enough power to propel, the voice will be affected. You really want to have a good connection between breathing and voice production to really have an efficient voice that can sustain. When you start feel soreness or even pain in the neck after prolonged talking, that's an indicator your speaking style is not as efficient as it could be. So when you feel like, why after talking for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I feel something not right in my throat. So I don't think it's a good speaking style for you. Okay, this is the time. The first one is practice your breathing, and this is where working with voice therapists will come in handy. Okay, a good pattern of breathing is needed to produce an effective voice. This involves using diaphragm, a sheet of muscle found at the bottom of the rib cage, which allows the lungs to expand fully. So there is a connection between diaphragmatic breathing with the voice production. Okay, this is from a Moxie Institute, one of well-known institute to teach the public speaker. Okay, diaphragmatic breathing is calming, centering, and empowering tool for speaker, which is it's a cornerstone of our public speaking training. When you take deep breath and continue to do so, you can instantly lower your heart rate and stay in present moment, which improves your connection with your audience. Sometimes when you speak in the pulpit like this, when you feel anxious, the first thing that it attacks is your breathing. And by attacking your breathing, you will have shallow breathing, and then your voice will be affected. When you utilize your breath consciously, you became an indomitable speaker with unforgettable presence. Take control, take a deep breath, speak from your gut. The key to diaphragmatic breathing is to go low and slow. Breathing from your gut gives your voice an unmatched force with that force, and use it. Like what I've said before, voice is something that you can do to influence others. It's very powerful. The lungs be only the channel, but do not depend on them to do the work. If you let the words come from the deep, exercising the abdominal muscle, you can speak to 1,000 with just as much ease as you can speak to 10. The lungs is only the muscle. It means there is something below the lungs to help the lungs to propel the air coming out. So if you don't have anything below the lungs, it means the lung is doing the work, and the work of the lungs is often not that strong enough to propel the voice to the proper place. Remember last week I tell you there are 3 things in archery that you need to remember. The first one is the power, enough strength. The second one is the correct aim, and the last one is you need to remember the wind that can hinder the arrow to go straight to the aim. So we need to work on these three things. The power is the diaphragm. Okay, the aim is what we are going to learn this morning. The wind, the something that hinder is your throat. So you need to open by engaging in hot air. You open the barriers. It's relaxed. Okay, now we will go to the other. This is gonna be last two topics. We have what we call this as the parts of our body, and we have tongue, we have oral cavity, and we will work in this area. Okay, so you can see this area here. That's the thing that we are going to focus on. So this area actually can be open and closed. We call it as soft palate. The area that cannot be moved is hard palate. So soft palate can go up and down. Go up and down. Okay? Let's check. Okay? It's going up. Okay, yeah, see that? This area is soft palate, this is the hard palate. Okay? So if I'm going to divide it into 4 areas, this is the throat. This is the area that we need to avoid. Okay? If the air is not strong enough, it will go to this area first. The area of 3 quadrant and 4th quadrant. Let's divide it into 4 mentally. So this is the area of 1. This is the area of 2, where your voice being projected. This is the area of 3. And this is the area of 4. So most of the time, we need to go to the area 1. But what happens if we want to go to the area 1? Can you see which one is the furthest? If you can continue this, actually, there are 2 channels, one for food and one for air. It's always open and closed. The channel for air is in the front. So if it's in the front, this is the closest to the area, right? The closest. And this is also close. This is the furthest. So how we can reach this? Only with a good support of diaphragmatic breathing. And that's also the safest place for you to put or to project your voice. So that area is the furthest. So we need strength to aim to that area. Okay? Now, we're going to practice like what I said before, we're going to practice how do you call that? To lift your soft palate. Okay? Actually, you do it every time you yawn. Oh. Okay? Okay? But when you yawn, you lift your soft palate, but actually also you engage in putting pressure on your neck, your 4th level. But we don't want to go there, but we need to understand how to increase, to lift your soft palate first. Okay? Let's try to yawn or to imitate yawning and feel the back of your area being lifted up. Okay. Now we will do the NGO O, in maybe the pronunciation is more into Bahasa, not, I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but in Bahasa it's ngo, ngo. But don't combine the ngo with the yawning, ngo. Don't do nga, 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 ngo, ngo, with yawning, ngo. As if that you are in the beginning of yawning, ngo. And then you yawn in the O, ngo, ngo. Ladies, ngo, 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 ngo. Can you feel that there is an opening and closing of the something at the back of your mouth? Ngo, 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 ngo. When you do it fast, you will feel like something is ngo, 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 ngo. Can you feel something is opening and closing? Like this one? Do you feel it? Let's give a bit more attention on that. Yes. Yes, it's even more advanced. You need to feel something in your head. So actually you're putting the voice to your head. Your head is the acoustic actually for your voice. It's good. You have to feel it. That's okay. No, it's not right, but in the beginning it's okay. Not right, but in the beginning, if it can help you to, it's okay. It's not right to, it means that, no, it means that the pressure is down below, not in the upper extremities, not the upper extremities of the cord, but in the back. Okay, let's do it in this space. Ta 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 ta. Okay, engage with your diaphragm. So you need to use your diaphragm as if you use that to project the air and to lift up your soft palate. Okay, one. Ngo is when you exhale. When the diaphragm is going down. See, let me give you an example. One ngo, one breathe. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's do it in a slower pace. Ngo, 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 ngo. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Ngo, 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 ngo. Okay, good. Now let's do it a little bit faster. Ngo, 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 ngo. 3 and. Ngo, 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 ngo. Very good. Remember, as if that you are swallow the air going back. Ngo, 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 ngo. Okay. Now let's do it. Let's do it even longer with the ngo. Okay. So inhale, hold, and then ngo. Inhale, hold, and ngo. Remember the hot air. You have to combine also the hot air. So it's like a steps. You cannot forget the previous step and then just move. So the hot air, then now the third. Yes, very good. 1, 2, 3, breathe, inhale, hold, ngo. Ngo. Like yawning. Very good. That's a very good sound I can hear. In the beginning, you will not be able to hear that your voice is having a shape, but like a rounder shape. That's a good sign. Okay, like when I'm talking with the, let's say there is a shape, sharp shape of my voice. But when you do that, if I talk in that manner, maybe it will sound like this. Maybe it will sound like this. it's more rounder when I talk at the back of my mouth. It's more rounder when I speak in this manner. It's okay because once you develop the technique, you can have your voice, your style, but in the proper place. Okay? You don't have to sound similar. Everyone shouldn't be talking like this all the time, but when you know your brain has captured the location of the one place, this area at the back, so back is upper and back. Okay? So upper and back. Now we're going to use it in practice. This is the last practice. You will do it like this. Inhale, hold, and say 1. And then we will go to 2. 1, 2, and then finish. You cannot relax after you finish. And then we go to 10. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's do with 1 and 2 and 3, maybe up to 8. Okay, let's stand up. Remember 3 things like the archery. The first one you have to remember to give enough strength for your diaphragm. Remember to open this area by, remember the sensation of hot air. And remember to aim to the back, upper back of your voice. Remember, you need to have good support to propel your breathing to that area, okay? Start now. Inhale, hold, 1. 1. Good, like yawning, yeah? Okay, now 2. Inhale, hold, 1, 2. 2, it's only 2. You have to finish after 8. Okay, and hold along the way your breath. Now 3. Inhale, hold, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay, it's good if you can feel this is like a spider walk. Your voice is not coming out from your mouth, but as if it's coming out from the back of your head. 1, 2, 3. Now 4. Okay, now 4. Inhale, hold, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now 5. Okay, inhale, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 6. Last 3. Okay, inhale, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you manage the 7? Hopefully. And hold your breath. Hold. It's in the outside expansion. Okay, outward expansion. Okay. 6, yeah. 7. 7. Okay. Inhale, hold. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last one. 8. Okay. Inhale, hold. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. Okay. Please be seated. That's the last of our last slide of our topic today. Next week, they said that I still have 1 week left. I thought it's gonna be 3 weeks only, but that's okay. Next week, after this, we will learn. This is what something that you need if you want to become a speaker, a public speaker, or preacher, or anything. But if you want to use the voice to sing in the worship, that's enough. the one that we have learned, it's enough. So next time when we sing, we have this hope, we have this hope. And then when you sing, we have this hope that burns within our... Okay. Next week we will learn something what we call as resonator or resonance box. It's in this area. We will learn what we call as mask technique. Okay, let me give you an example. If I speak without putting effort in the resonator area, it's like this. The voice is more rounder. The voice is, sometimes it's, some people say it's richer, but if I put it in the resonator, I will sound like this. It's more project from the mass area. So that's when you speak in public, you need to learn to speak like this, not only like this. But if you want to become an announcer or a reader, it's enough for you to read like this, even especially if you're using the microphone, it's okay if you talk like this. It's nice. But if you have a very limited sound system or acoustic, bad acoustic, you have to use the resonator box or resonance box to help you. Okay? So again, when you speak in one area without resonance, it will be like this. When you speak with resonator, you will sound like this. And the pronunciation is much clearer when you use the resonator box than when you talk like this. Sometimes people cannot really, catch some words or sentence that you are saying. But when you speak like this, people can hear you. But don't do like this. When I speak like this at the bottom of my voice, in 5 minutes you will feel sore and raspiness. But yeah, but for some people in the film industry or music industry, they use this to seduce people. So when they talk like this, actually it's not for a good thing. When you hear people talking like this, to convince you of something, right? When you talk like this, isn't it? So it's not a good way to be used in the worship. Thank you, and may God bless us.